on the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Uprushin. I am Saad in southeast London, and with me as usual is Gregory. Gregory, how are you and how is the weather where you are?
One is fine. It's very bright, very warm, hot.
Same here in London, I will say. Very warm and hot here. I think there's a little breeze now. So, welcome listeners to the Spiritual Discussion Program. Every week we have a new topic for discussion. The topic tonight is Life is full of hidden blessings. Life is full of hidden blessings. You're welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 00447939641958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting, and that is blessradio1, that's the number one, .com. There, if you scroll down on the home page, you will see a box called Bless Chat. You can type in any questions or comments there. I'm going to begin with what is the Grail Message? The Grail Message in the Light of Truth by Uprushin is a spiritual knowledge of life. It offers an explanation of the world, a picture of creation on the basis of natural laws. Its lectures contains, its lectures contain valuable basic elements as a help in life. For through the knowledge mediated, the readers again brought closer to life and led back to God. The Grail Message deals with important fundamental questions of life by explaining in a clear and logical way the automatic working of the laws of nature, the whole weaving of creation, allowing every process to be recognized and thereby the purpose of our whole life. It is directed at the individual and speaks to the innate experiences of the human being, their strengths and weaknesses. Thus, every reader has the opportunity to discover, through the intuitive perception, if what is stated is the truth. Combining with matter-of-fact reasoning, a complete world picture arises, where there is no separation between the visible world and the great world beyond the five senses, nor any separation between scientific and religious striving for knowledge. I'd like to give you a couple of quotes from the author of the Grail Message, Uprushin. The hearer and reader of my lectures should always work within himself, keenly probing and building bridges from one lecture to the other, as well as out into the great and small world happenings. Only then will he be able to understand the Grail Message and find that it gradually shapes itself into one complete whole without leaving any gaps. Again and again in all the happening, the reader will come back to the basic features. He can explain everything without having to change even one single sentence. The word of the Grail Message lives, so that it permits only those people who really carry the honest desire in their souls to find abundantly. All else is automatically rejected by it. For the arrogant and those who seek superficially the message will remain the book with seven seals. And I'd like to give you one more quote from the author. I wish to fill the gaps which have so far always remained unanswered in the souls of men, and which never leave any serious thinker in peace if he earnestly seeks for the truth. So, dear listeners, just to remind you, the topic for discussion tonight is life is full of hidden blessings. Life is full of hidden blessings. You are welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1.com. And if you scroll down on the home page, you will see a box called Bless Chat. You can type in any questions or comments in there. Gregory, as you know, and listeners also, I like to look up the words in the topic in the dictionary to see what the definitions given are and how useful they are for our discussion. So the first word there, life. In the dictionary, I've got two, no, actually, yes, there's two meanings given here. First one, the condition that distinguishes animals and plants from inorganic matter, including the capacity for growth, reproduction, functional activity, and continual change preceding death. Gregory, how good, useful is that for our discussion? This is the meaning for the word life.
Thanks. That is very one-sided because it's only considering one perspective.
Right. I can certainly agree with that because if they haven't mentioned anything about human beings there, especially if you're talking about Earth life. So, in the second meaning, they seem to mention it. So I don't know how that has been left out. So let me just read the second meaning, if that helps any better. So this is again the meaning of the word life. It says the existence of an individual human being or animal. So is that any help better there, Gregory?
It is still describing a perspective as related to human beings or animals. It doesn't consider other things.
Right. So please, can you help us to give them, as we say, the right context and the right definition because we need that to start the discussion.
As is usual, the context or the framework must be that of creation itself. So within that container, even creation itself is alive. And whatever is in that container creation or nature must be alive because they have come into being and they are subject to continuous change. So whatever is subject to continuous change must be alive.
Thank you for that answer and giving us a better perspective. That word continuous change, I'm just trying to reflect on that. So life is something that is subject to continuous change. Okay. Is that evolution, the change? I'm just wondering, because I'm wondering what the change is. What do you mean by change, continuous change?
One is referring to motion,
Okay.
because that which you refer to as motion is change. So whatever is subjected to motion must have an aspect of that which is lively.
Okay, that makes sense, and I can take that into account. Something that must be subject to motion. So, okay, we'll keep going and explore these things more as we go on in the show. So let me continue. So just to remind listeners, the topic we're discussing tonight is life is full of hidden blessings. So we just looked at the word life. Now we're going to look at the word full. So full, in the dictionary, it says two meanings given: containing or holding as much or as many as possible, having no empty space. Um, how again, Gregory? How good is that in definition for the word full?
From the perspective of no empty space means complete.
Okay. In fact, that word complete is mentioned in the second definition, which says not lacking or omitting anything, complete. So, okay, so anything to add to that or say to that, Gregory?
No, the expression is precise. To be
Very
full means to be complete, not deficient.
right. So, yes, that's good. Let's continue. The next word in the topic, the key word you can say, hidden. And there it's a meaning, the dictionary meaning is kept out of sight, concealed. Is that again, Gregory? How good is that one for us?
But
Definition.
the word or the expression concealed may be the substitute for hidden.
Okay. So yes, concealed. Okay, is a good word for hidden. Okay, let's continue. The next one is blessings, and here it's in the dictionary. It says God's favor and protection. God's favor and protection. This is the meaning for the word blessing. Uh, is that how good is that, Gregory?
Again, you find that these things are so constricted as to, the way they have been defined, as if when they say favor, that means there are preferences, that nature or creation has preferences according to human volition or according to human perspective, such that it's just too narrow to be tied to blessings.
Right. So then, Gregory, could you help us with a better definition there? Because if that's not very good, then we should have better. Can you say something more about what is blessing?
Well, from the framework or the concept of the laws of creation, that which is beneficial, which has been woven into the fabric of nature, of creation, that in itself is a blessing, as long as it's upbuilding.
I see. And is one thing, Greg, I just want to a little bit look into. Is it specifically from God, the blessing, or it can be some other source? That's what the dictionary is saying. Um, so is it exclusively from God? That's what I want to put it this way. Or can the blessing be? I'm not quite sure what is the other source could be. Uh, since if we receive a blessing, we don't think it's us who is the source of it. So, yeah, as a blessing must be from God.
The challenge has always been that within the limited understanding of human personalities, they accept that these blessings have been woven into creation, but they never asked from where did creation come. It is for the human personality to investigate that. And in the process of investigation, they will gain personal conviction. So the question is left for the individual to investigate to gain personal conviction.
Thank you. Thanks for that. Okay, let's continue. Well, no, that is the full topic now. Life is full of hidden blessings. Um, so I'm thinking some sort of these sort of experiences that we human beings have, where um, these are things happen in life, which could be, let's say, a struggle. Um, uh, that's how we see it, let's say, and then that initial struggle turns out to be resulting in some, let's say, some challenges that you're having, and then you overcome those um, challenges and struggles, and then you have success from it. And then that people might say, oh, that is actually a blessing. What I thought was very hard or looked, uh, harmful, you could say, or painful, I should say. Maybe harmful is not the right word. Painful, but then there was a sweet sort of success afterwards, and that's you could call that a blessing. So, and that, Gregory, makes me think of success and failure. So the word failure, it seems to have such a negative connotation, um, which, as I say, some people could look at as a struggle. You know, so let me ask Gregory: is failure uh, um, in quotes? Well, is failure something negative or bad thing? I don't know how to look at this. So, how should we look at these things, the failure and so on? Is this something that is, I was going to use the word harmful, but I don't mean it like in a bad way, totally bad way. But yeah, so is failure part of life's, um, you could say, way of developing?
The word or the expression failure had been badly interpreted. Basically, the framework of these conceptions are highly distorted. Very simply, a personality, human personality, has a volition to accomplish something. And in his or her striving, it hasn't arrived at that point where it's able to accomplish that which it has set out to do. And subsequently, before long, it says, well, it has failed because it hasn't arrived at a conclusion. Whereas what it has done was just set out on a journey. When one sets out on a journey, arriving at the destination of that journey depends on how swift or how fast that person is in his thoughts, in his intuitions, and in his deeds. So there are times the journey becomes shorter because he's able to coordinate with his intuition, his thoughts, and his deeds. There are times he's unable, due to personal circumstances, is unable to arrive at the destination soon enough because it hasn't overcome all the challenges along the path. And therefore, it says it has failed. And therefore, that conception of failure, which many hold, turns out to be wrong. There are other circumstances where one is geared towards a particular direction, which the volition which came from his thoughts, but is unaware whether that volition will be of benefit to it. And he or she tries and tries and is unable to arrive at a clear conclusion. And therefore, he says it has failed. Whereas if it had, with that volition, accomplished that which we wish to do, the reciprocal activity would have been horrendous for it. And therefore, there had been some wise guidance that nudged it in a different direction. So you find that that which many categorize as failure is something which they themselves have not reflected on very deeply. But again, that which is not of failure, which is of benefit to the human personality, that which is of benefit must be of benefit in deeds, in thoughts, and in his intuitions. Making an effort alone to strive aright is benefit. If that striving aright gets you somewhere, in the meantime, in humility, that means in little steps, then that is of benefit and that is success. You don't expect to learn a language in one day. You spend days, weeks, months, or years to learn a language, but you take it in little steps.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this answer and explanation, and giving a picture about it. Because let's say we have a tendency as human beings to, how can I say, have this negative connotation about words like failure. That's the one we just talked about, as if we are somehow condemned if you fail. And yet it's just part of the journey, as you have said, so, and really, even I will say, Gregory, we have maybe even wrong expectations, or even high expectation, and expecting to achieve these expectations, in a, let's say, unrealistic, or our own, I don't know if I don't want to use the word fantasy, but in our own idea of what a journey should take, and so it's not failure like, oh, it's the end of the world or something like that. It's a step, as you've said, take the small steps. You can still get there. You get there, and it's not about who wins the race, who gets there quickly. It's getting there is the important part. And somebody might be fast, somebody might be slow, somebody may be quick, using the intuition more, others less. So it's not about a competition that we might, have these, again, expectations. That's what I'm seeing, Gregory. We have these expectations. Oh, I must succeed. I must, this is how it has to be. And then if you don't succeed, it's called failure. And then you put yourself down for that, calling it by failure. So, but by being objective and not um, putting that label, which makes you, like, in quotes, negative, brings you down. That's not what it's about. So thank you so much for giving this picture about, you can say, this process. Um, Now I've got another, you could angle to look at, Gregory. Good luck and bad luck. Um, because they said we're talking about blessing. Just to repeat, life is full of hidden blessings, and then we may, like, Gregory, you said, you might have some intentions and goals that we want to achieve, and somebody may go quickly, somebody may go slowly. Um, but then is there, Gregory, anything such as good luck or bad luck in these? mm, you know, it sounds like some outside factors might, in our actions that we take. So, is there something like that that affects our, decisions and actions, in the success of it, or the failure outside of us, which is like good luck or bad luck?
The expression good luck or bad luck is only a sensing or a recognition of reciprocal activities which had been sown, which has been put in place in the past. And in our journey to accomplish a specific task, there are these reciprocal activities which within us are attracted, coupled with the law of attraction of homogeneity along these same very paths, and therefore we will find that along that path, whenever a reciprocal activity approaches us and coalesces, if the reciprocal activity is not in accordance with what we had defined, that means the goal we wish to attain, if that reciprocal activity is not in accordance with that goal, we call it bad luck. If, however, it enhances the activities or it enables, refreshes us such that we're able to accomplish quickly that task which lies before us, we call it good luck. So therefore, there is the so-called good luck or bad luck. But these are the framework of it. They are that reciprocal activity which had been put in place due to our activities.
Thank you for that, Gregory. If I get you right, this good luck or bad luck is of our own making, um, not something external. Would I be right to say that?
We, in our past activities, we have triggered or we have given rise to these reciprocal activities. First, could be in deeds, could be in thoughts, or in our intuition. These reciprocal activities, which have been called into being because we made decisions in the past, these are in accordance with the laws of creation. For we have sown seeds, and having sown seeds, there will be reciprocal activities along the line such that that which we have sown will germinate and come to fruition And subsequently, we have to taste of it. We have to enjoy it and therefore determine whether it's of benefit or not of benefit. However, the journeying of these reciprocal activities is not in us because it has been released. It is the triggering of the reciprocal activity which is in us. So when these come back, that's why they are called reciprocal activities. We have given rise to them. And if we still hold the same conception as to as it was at the beginning, then when these reciprocal activities approach, then they will have an impact on us. If, however, there had been a change within us, these reciprocal activities, although they have approached us, they will find no homogeneity, and therefore they will pass by. So the reciprocal activities are in creation those activities we have given rise to.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for clarifying these concepts, I will say. Um, we're going to continue in a second. I just want to let the listeners know you're listening to Bless Radio, and this is the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Updrushi. If you wish to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that www.grail, Grail, message, message.com. And the topic that we're discussing tonight is life is full of hidden blessings. Life is full of hidden blessings. You are welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting, that is Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1.com. And there, if you scroll down on the home page, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. You can type in any questions or comments in there. And as I mentioned, we are broadcasting on Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, again the number 1 there, space, live stream. That's for the live show, which is on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. You can listen to the recording of this show also on YouTube the next day. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1 again, space, Grail message, space, the topic of the show, which tonight is Life is Full of Hidden Blessings. And of course, you can listen to the recordings of our previous shows as well on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno. That's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1. Again, that's the number one. Now, this topic that we chose tonight, a listener also helped us, and they wanted to share with us their personal experiences, and they were calling that blessings in disguise. Blessings in disguise. So a little bit different from exactly the topic we have chosen for tonight, but it is hidden blessing, and so I wanted to share that with you listeners. They said they actually put it as questions, but as I said, coming from their experiences. So they have written, I think this was when they were children, so this experience coming. So let me make sure I'm reading this correctly. Yeah. So when we were children and had an unfulfilled, dearly had an unfulfilled, dearly wished for something. They wished for something, which left them with a sorrowing void in one's life, and was suddenly revealed to be the best thing that ever happened. So I know this may not be so easy to follow, and I will try my best to give the picture. So here they're saying, basically they're saying they had a wish as children for something, and it wasn't fulfilled, which left them with sorrow, a void, even left them with a void. And then something happened, which made them see that maybe that was actually a blessing. As I said, blessing in disguise. That's what they were using, the word blessing in disguise. So let's look at this experience. So the example they gave is the delight of summers, fishing at a local weir with one's best friends, was prevented due to the unexpected arrival of chickenpox in the village, which left everyone housebound, only to discover a while later, as is the way with many summer storms, torrential rain had caused flooding at the much-loved weir, which had suddenly lost its banks and became a speedway of raging waters across the local farmers' land, raging waters across the local farmers' land, to boot, taking out livestock and buildings with it. So they've done it in a quite expression, full of expression there, describing this situation. Let me just repeat it just in case somebody didn't follow that. So the delight of summers was fishing at a local weir with one's best friends. It was prevented due to unexpected arrival of chickenpox in the village, which left everyone housebound, only to discover a while later, as is the way with summer, as is with the way, the many a summer storm. Sorry, let me try to say that. As is the way with many summer storm, torrential rain had caused flooding at the much-loved weir, which suddenly lost its banks and had become a speedway of raging waters across the local farmer's land, taking out livestock and outbuildings with it. So that is considered, that is thought of as event. It came out to be a blessing in disguise. It could have been a real disaster had these children come out and into this beer at this moment. So um, now, Gregory, let me just ask this: would you say that is really a blessing in disguise? Um, there's chicken pox that the children, um, caught, and then they were saved.
In the discussion we just had, the mention was made on reciprocal activities. In the reciprocal activity which has been spun long time ago by the individual or group of individuals, when this reciprocal activity arrives, if it is, or if within it, it carries the blessings which resonate in creation, it acts as a protection for upbuilding. That is what many refer to as good luck. If, however, the reciprocal activity is not in accordance to that of upbuilding, moreover, if the individual has not improved itself for the better, then the impact of that reciprocal activity is shattering. That's what many refer to as bad luck. For children, the stress must be hammered here. For children, they haven't matured to that extent where, to a large extent, the reciprocal activity will be of very negative impact, for they seem protected, for they are children with no guile, filled with noble longing and purity. That purity, that longing which protects children from these reciprocal activities which are not of upbuilding. This is what many have come to recognize as hidden blessings. But the framework is rooted in reciprocal activities, which reciprocal activity is to protect the individual who longs for purity, just as you have with children.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this answer and explanation. What I was wondering, Gregory, what about the parents? Were they? Is it the children's own? How can I say? As you said, children are not mature, so I'm just wondering if they can sort of protect themselves in this matter, or is it the parents who have, let's say, uh, I mean, I don't even they would not be. The thing is, all this happening unexpectedly. The whole happening is an unexpected happening. So I'm just wondering if there's a particular attitude of the parents which gives the protection for the children. Because I'm not sure if the children can really protect themselves in this situation. Um, so, is there something coming from the parents as well? Um,
You are talking about unexpected activities, unexpected due to one's ignorance about the processes in nature, in creation, and at the same time considering that the children must be protected by the activities of the parents. All these are the roots, the protection of parents coming, the seeds which have been sown, the threads which have been spun by these same children in another life, another earth life. These activities must return to their origin, for they are always in motion. And as we've discussed in many of these discussions, that motion is a law in creation. That motion in which the end flows back to the beginning. And that partly is referred to as reciprocal action. Another explanation, another part explanation is that of resonance. For when there is a reciprocal activity, that means definitely it comes. If the individual or group of individuals do not resonate, because there has been a slight improvement in their activities, in their state, been a slight improvement in their, say, physical activities, in their thoughts or in their intuition. It could be the rearranging of a house, the cleanliness. It could be the advice which parents have given out. All these are the different manifold that are brought into the whole picture, such that when these reciprocal activities, when they arrive to have an impact on the children, on the parents, if none of them resonates with this reciprocal activity, it will have no impact, or that particular activity may remain far away from them because they do not vibrate in that. It's like when you have radio waves, you are able to perceive our discussions, to hear our discussions, to see our discussions because of resonance. There are other waves out there you are unable to perceive of it or to hear of it because they are out of tune. Only that which is in tune specifically in this program we are running, only that are you able to hear because you have tuned in. That is how nature works. If you tune into it, then you are able to have that impact able to receive. That which you receive could be of upbuilding. That means it will cheer you and you'll become happier and filled with joy. And you are also able to receive that which is not of upbuilding, which may be liable to destruction or health problems. So these are manifolds. But one thing is very clear, that these are reciprocal activities, which if one resonates in him, you are able to receive. There is another part of it, that there are scenarios where those who are impacted by these reciprocal activities need these activities so as to be jolted up because having experienced these reciprocal activities, they now they come to understand what the impact is. They hold on to this impact, and it helps to mold their character so that they are able to be of benefit to others when others fall into such reciprocal activities. In that case, that is also a blessing. But it's not a blessing in disguise. It becomes a blessing which had been sown into creation, which the human personality needed to go through to mature in order to become of help to others.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for this, again, explanations. Now, the same story that we just talked about, there's another character, if I can use the word, or person that is involved, which is the farmer, because he had his livestock and buildings, you could say, adjacent to the weir, and he seems to have forgotten or neglected his duty to provide, let's say, a boundary fencing to protect his livestock, so they don't, how can I say, get trapped by this storm, with the collapse of the weir. And I know you mentioned earlier, Gregory, in your answers that there's nature involved here. We are saying these things are unexpected, but we know that these things happen. Let's say once in 10 years, there's a storm which overfloods the banks, or whatever the frequency happens to be. And of course, we may not know the day this is going to happen, but we know that nature does this. So, I don't know if the person said that they lost the life. They did say the lost dog was lost. Yes, it was lost. In these raging waters and the buildings as well. So, and that I don't say that wouldn't be a blessing. Of course, that would be you could call it a disaster. So my question, what can I ask on this? Gregory, is there, like, how can I say, a warning that we need to look out for, or we are supposed to ourselves be, you could say, alert or aware of how nature works, so that we can build things with this to protect those things that we are building, like we said, the livestock and buildings. The farmer seemed to have neglected it in this particular story. Um, so I know it sounds a bit silly that uh, when bad things happen, then you think, oh, I should have done something. But yeah, is there something, Gregory, we should somehow be aware of these things beforehand? And so, as I say, it sounds like a silly question, but basically, I'm really the question I'm asking is how can we prevent these disasters and you know troubles, um, or should we be you know just accept that I don't know that they will happen once in a while and then maybe we can't protect it ourselves?
The human personality, the core of the human personality is of spirit. And the talents which the spirits need to cultivate, one of the talents, is that of vigilance and alertness. Vigilance and alertness in the processes of nature, in all the happenings in nature, but it should be taken in humility, in little steps. Vigilance and alertness in our deeds, because there were reciprocal activities. So we internalize that which has been returned to us and learn from it. Vigilance and alertness in our thoughts for the sort of thoughts which we have given out and the returns, the expected returns and the not expected returns are taken in. Vigilance and alertness in our intuitions. This is very important. For when these things are cultivated, these are at different levels. At the beginning, you start cultivation. Subsequently, as the human spirit matures, these become very firm within it. And these now lead from belief to conviction because it has examined all this which has impacted on it in deeds, in thoughts, and in its intuitions. With that, the human personality matures to an extent where it is of perpetual vigilance and alertness, and many returns which had been put in place, many of the processes which are ongoing in nature, in creation, is able to read of this and prepare for challenges. So those processes which would have not been of benefit to it due to its ignorance, due to its lack of vigilance and lack of alertness, but because it has got to that extent where it's able first to perceive of the deeds with the gross material senses, perceive of the deeds, perceive of these impact in thoughts, and also in one's intuitions, and ensures it does not disregard these intuitions which assail it, these thoughts which now assail it, that which would have been a catastrophe for it now becomes a blessing because it would have found a solution to all this in his or her normal activities without anything special. For creation or nature would have prepared it to be able to perceive of the blessings in an everyday manner and know how to adjust to it. So you will find that vigilance and alertness is one of those characteristics, one of those virtues that the human personality needs to cultivate in order to mature. Therefore, that is the way forward. In the case of the farmer you mentioned, had it been vigilant enough and alert, many of these things, you would have found that he or she is not alone, that there are others. By others, one is referred to fellow human beings who he or she is able to perceive with his physical senses, fellow human beings whom he or she is not able to perceive with his physical senses, but he can sense that they are there, and some other beings who are responsible for the maintenance in nature, for the maintenance in creation, for the maintenance in spinning the threads which have arisen from the human personality, ensuring these threads mature and are returned to the human personality. It would have matured to that extent that deep within the human personality, only gratitude and joy and praise will arise within it. For it now finds it is not alone, that there has always been a gentle guidance which has been woven into creation as blessings.
Thanks very much, Gregory, again for this answer and explanation and picture you're giving us. I've got many more questions to ask you, but before I do that, I want to let the listeners know you're listening to Bless Radio. This is the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abdrushi. If you wish to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic that we're discussing tonight is life is full of hidden blessings. Life is full of hidden blessings. You're welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 00 447939641958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is Bless Radio One, that's the number one, .com. There, if you scroll down on the home page, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. You can type in any questions or comments in there. And as I've mentioned, we are broadcasting on Bless Radio One, the number one.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, again the number one there, space live stream. That is for the live show, which is on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. You can also listen to the recording of this show again on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, number one again, space Grail Message, space the topic of the show, which tonight is Life is Full of Hidden Blessings. And there's a third place you can hear us, which is by going, before I say that, you can listen to the recordings of our previous shows, also on YouTube. And the third place we can hear us is Zeno, that's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1. That's the number one. Now, Greg, continuing with this story about these children who got chickenpox and were saved from basically dying, going to if they hadn't got chickenpox, they would have gone to their favorite spot on the riverbank or weir where they can do fishing and so on. And on this particular time, there was a terrible storm which blew away the banks and flooded and destroyed livestock and outbuildings of a farmer, and would have killed these children. So that was said to be a blessing in disguise for the children, of course. The farmer suffered, we can see that. You could say out of neglect for not taking care of his land and protecting. Now, Gregory, in that answer, you're talking about the farmer there. You mentioned about these other beings that you could call them nature beings, because they're the ones who caused this storm. And, well, they work with nature. They are nature beings. And now, what it made me think, Gregory, in the old days, we had these sort of fairy tales. Nowadays, nobody believes in this anymore. And there used to be, in the, let's say, olden days, in many cultures, these stories of where let's say the people were in touch with nature, or more, let's say, some of the, I don't know what the words you can use, priests or certain wise people seem to have connection with nature, and they could communicate with these nature beings and, be aware of any trouble that might happen, or how to even look after these banks and so on to, run their farming life so that they would be protected, would be working in harmony with nature rather than just doing what each person individually thinks is what they want to do. So this is quite a difference of way of living than nowadays, you can say. Nowadays we rely on science. So what I want to ask there, Gregory, is science um, I don't know what the right word is, capable or the right tool for, you know, I'm going to say, being, um, living in harmony with nature, you can say, and making things, protecting things, and building things which are, let's say, which are going to last? Or are we meant to sort of reconnect, like in the olden days, with those nature beings somehow?
Questions such as yours, one must consider what science does. Science, which is based on physical examinations and then draws conclusion. These are the outer manifestations, the outer most ramifications of activities which are perceptible to the five senses. So that is the realm of science. That is that of deeds which are perceptible to the five senses and instruments which have been fashioned to enhance the reach, the outreach of the five senses. The volition, science is unable to tell because it's beyond its scope. Therefore, only that which is perceptible to the five senses, only that can it discuss. The senses or the one's thoughts, science is unable to do measurements of one's thoughts, but can, to a large extent, have some recognition of one's thoughts in the impact, in its impact in deeds. That is the outermost ramifications. Then we also have one's intuitions. Science has no way of knowing what the intuition is beforehand, because that intuition have to have an impact on one's thoughts, and those thoughts have to have an impact on the outermost ramification in deeds. That is where science is able to come in. Should man mature as is willed by the laws of creation, which laws of creation are an expression of the will of the Creator, which intrinsically lies in motion, you will find that one's intuition should resonate with one's thoughts, and one's thoughts should resonate with one's deeds. So at the outermost end is science, and through its investigation is discovery. There is also the investigation in one's thoughts and one's intuition. These three different categories are supposed to work hand in hand. Through that, you have an early warning system. Then, through one's intuition, you will not construct any path through a volcano because he never knew that the volcano was going to erupt. One would have perceived of this through one's intuition, through one's thoughts, being open to the threats in nature, in creation, the beings that are responsible in directing these threats would have hinted man not to pursue a certain direction because there will be reciprocal activities or there could be sudden changes, which changes may precipitate in deeds over time. These precipitation of volition, these precipitation of activities in deeds gross materially, that means here on earth, the time of its occurrence depends on the densification of these activities. The beings which are referred to have a good perspective of it and would have warned man not to proceed along a certain path because of this impending precipitation, like you have in earthquakes or you have in some tsunamis. Therefore, science must be kept at the level it belongs. There is the cultivation of pure thoughts and the cultivation of pure intuition, such that the human personality that has the innate capability of this will be agile enough to ensure many a thing which would have caused catastrophe, which will be detrimental to the individual, is completely avoided. That's it relies on science to look at the outermost, as at the time this thing precipitates, by that time it is too late. And that is the cause of many of all the harmful effects in human activities. Their lack of insight, their lack of intuitive insights.
Thanks again, Gregory, for these answers that you and picture you're giving us. Um, the there's a couple more questions. Um, the writer of this story, you can say, or the person who related this story, is asking for us to look at. Um, I'm just trying to. I wasn't quite clear what they exactly are asking. Let me look at this one first. So we have the farmer Gregory, you know, who should have, let's say, taken some responsibility about protecting his livestock and outbuildings. And then the story relator is saying also about there's also a waterways commission who are responsible for the waterways, you can say, because obviously the waterways don't only run through one across one farm land, they run across the, a large area. So obviously there has to be like a government authority or a certain authority to look after that, because flooding doesn't affect only the one farmer's land. Um, so that again looks like, Gregory, there has been a neglect uh, in dealing with this storm situation, which can result in flooding. Um, and that's where I think your answer about science and nature is very helpful, because what you're saying is you can't just look at one angle, uh, um, like science. It's just part of the tools that we have to use, and but you can't give the whole picture. Like you say, you can't measure your thoughts. You can't. Science can't measure them, and it can check the impact, but it can't actually. Um, and all of these things, all these angles or aspects play a part in the, how things materialize. Um, for example, the flooding and the storm. Um, so my question then, Gregory, what can I say? Is can one? What's the best answer, Gregory? You just prepare for these events, or um, can one predict? You see, because you can always run away, Gregory, as well. That's another, when you know you haven't got the sort of equipment or the ability to, the place is at risk for storms and whatever, then is there a way, let's say, a way to predict or to know in advance before such events happen that you can run away? Um, because if you can't, not able to build for whatever reason the protection.
As with everything, there is always the preparation in knowing how to use the tool that the personality has. The tool of one's thoughts, the tool of one's intuition. Once these tools are purified, ennobled, then in their purity, in their vibration, they are able to pick up these vibrations way earlier, before there is precipitation of these indeeds. That means precipitations in which you have to see it here on earth. Many would have been able to perceive it in their thoughts. Some are able to perceive this in their dreams, and therefore they make adequate preparation, or they reverse certain activities such that the impact, if at all, that which they have perceived in their dreams materializes. That means it has precipitated. So it is the inner purity of the human personality that counts. Purity in its thoughts, purity in its intuition, such that because there's nothing to cloud it, because it is pure, is able in its vibration to perceive of these shades, that which is heavy and that which is light, that which is of benefit and that which is not of benefit. And being in that state, it already perceives or knows when this might happen, not precisely. There are some of these which are perceived years before, some a year or months before or days before. That is internalized by the human, that particular person. Such, having gone to school to learn this, but through their personal activities, they have found it to be true. That is personal conviction, which each human personality must cultivate. Then, if subsequently science is added to it, which is the outermost ramification, then it also becomes helpful, just as you have in the case of X-rays, which is able to determine the outermost when someone has health problems and many other things, or even with one's blood type. So-called science comes in, and that is helpful. So one must purify oneself such that everything must become new. Everything must become new, new in deeds, new in thoughts, new in intuitions, new only because it resonates in accordance with the laws of nature. That is what is new. In the past, there is, you compare one deed to another deed. That is not new. That has been going on for a long time. What is new is this time the alertness, the purification of that which the human personality needs to use in its activities. Purification of the intuitions, of one's thoughts, of one's deeds in accordance with the laws of creation so that it brings benefit. That is new. That basically is purification of its attitude. Attitude in the sense that the inner orientation must be in accordance with the laws of nature, of creation, through which it and all that exists came into existence. For in that state, it's able to perceive of these blessings, whatever nature it wears, is able to perceive of these blessings consciously and makes use of them consciously. Then it needs have no fear because it is as it should be, new in its orientation, new in its intuition, not just comparing one deed to another deed, but in his inner attitude, looking up to the light from where all the blessings have come.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for these words. Um, this phrase, everything must become new, is really a big thing that we really need to understand. I'm going to share something uh, in a little bit in a moment. And before I do that, I just want to let the listeners know you're listening to Bless Radio, and this is the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Uptrushin. And the topic that we are discussing tonight is, before I say that, if you would like to know more about the Grail Message and want to get a copy of the Grail Message, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, Grail, message, message.com. And I was saying the topic that we are discussing tonight is life is full of hidden blessings. If you have any questions or comments in regards to this topic, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is blessradio1, that's the number 1.com. If you scroll down on the home page, you will see a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. And as I mentioned, we are broadcasting on blessradio1, the number 1.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, again the number 1, space live stream. That's for the live show, which we broadcast on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. You can also listen to a recording of this show the next day, also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, again the number 1, space Grail Message, space the topic of the show, which tonight is life is full of hidden blessings. You can also listen to the recording of our previous shows again on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1, again the number 1 there. Now, Gregory, we mentioned everything must become new. So I'd like to illustrate that, with a story or a video. I'm not going to play it, but I will just summarize it. It's a story about Germany after World War II. They lost the World War and they had to pay reparations. One of the ways they could do that was to grow these spruce trees. Plant those spruce trees and grow them, and which is what they did. Now, something special about the spruce trees, they normally grow in high mountainous areas, but in this case they were planting them in a much lower ground, you can say. Anyway, they were able to grow and flourish, and they made money from that, I guess. But now, as we know, there has been climate change, and somehow um, that because these spruce trees have narrow or shallow, I should say, roots, and when the weather, like we mentioned, the storm earlier, when that sort of weather happens, they are becoming vulnerable and collapsing. Not only that, beetle, bark beetle, I think it's called, which has found that is enjoying, could say, eating up the spruces and is killing them off there. And so what we are left with nowadays, or uh, is these dead trees, which this beetle has been eating up. And as I said, this climate change has also killing off. However, um, we're talking about blessing in disguise. So incredibly, what had happened is when they planted these spruce trees, which are not, you could say, native to this type of environment, now they're dying out with the bugs, killing them off. The original native trees that used to grow there have started to come back, uh, and even the dead spruces are being used by animals that used to be there too, or they are there, and they're also finding home there. So somehow nature seems to have found a way, despite human sort of activity, which may be counter to what nature is, nature's ways, let's say. Nature has found a way to overcome humans' sort of wrongful activity. I mean, the humans probably didn't even realize they were doing something wrong there by killing off the original native trees. Um, but now these, as I said, these original native trees and other animals who were there are making a comeback through nature's way of um, recovering, if I can say that way. And the concept of this, everything must become new. Uh, Sometimes you think, oh, new, you mean you change your clothes or change your um, outer ways. You might think these are the change, what is changing, but actually it's on a deeper level than that. That's what we were talking about when we say everything must become new, and how nature is showing that in this particular story that I've mentioned. Um, so now the point is, something was dying, the spruces, which was considered, you could say, a disaster or something, but actually what is actually happening is there's a blessing in disguise here, um, by something new coming back, and in nature's way is bringing it back. So, it actually shows how powerful nature is, despite humans' dominance on this earth. So that is what I wanted to share. Um, Greggy, did you have anything you'd like to add or say something on this story?
One is not very conversant with the story to reflect deeply on it. But
Okay.
you yourself mentioned that that which was there before something was brought in from the outside, that is coming back. When it is said everything must become new, it means that that thing which is to become new must already have been in that particular environment. As you will find with human personalities, that which has been granted to them, for many, they will put it aside and go and get some other thing. They will not improve on that. They will not ennoble that. which is native to the environment. So that which is to become new is that which is already there, is to be ennobled. That which is to become new, which is of spirit, that spirit, which is the inner core of man, must become very mobile to ennoble itself, to ennoble itself, to be able to draw of the blessings in nature, in creation, and make use of it for the benefit of all, as in one for all and all for one. That is what has to become new. That continuous ennobling, which, when the inner human personality has been purified, is able to make use of the power that streams in nature, in creation, the new power that is poured out, that is received. It makes use of it aright in accordance with the will of the giver. That in itself must be new. Else, in the past, that power has been wasted because it is not used aright.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for that. Um, Now, I want to relate something you could say quite different. Um, I just was watching some TV show, I think it was yesterday, uh, which we've used in the past. It's called Long Lost Family. And what it is children who have been adopted. Well, they're adults now, but they were children when they were adopted. And then these adopted children, obviously, they're brought up by a different family. And then as they get older, adults, even they have their own family, then they started thinking, oh, who were my parents, birth parents, let's say. And maybe they even have siblings and they don't know who they are and what they are. And somehow they want to make connection with them and then start searching for them. And then this TV program called Long Lost Family, because their own attempts to find hasn't worked, so they approach this TV program, and somehow the TV program with their researchers are able to find these other siblings and so on and get the story. And then it's quite emotional for the people involved, um, you know. But then there's always some questions. The first question is, oh, the adopted children, they've had their own life separate from, let's say, they've with the new family, with the family that they are with, and they've grown up and so on and so on, and it has been mostly in these stories they seem to have had a good life. They've been well provided for and so on, and loved and everything. But they wondered, oh, what would it be? What would have happened? Or did the birth parent, did they abandon? Or it's normally one parent, because most of these cases is the mother, the child was born out of wedlock, and then they were forced to abandon the child, because in those days that's how people thought that they're not supposed to keep that child. So it's quite a heartbreaking way it happens. And then these adopted children thinking, oh, did my mother, it's mostly mothers that had to abandon the child and give up the child and say, oh, did she love me or not? So these sort of, you could say, questions come up. But again, Gregory, we are saying life is full of hidden blessings, or there's a blessings in disguise going on here. You know, they don't know. Uh, Most of the time, I think they are told, these adopted children are only told when they become adults about this story of having their birth parent being someone else. So they've already lived a long life, without knowing. Um, but as I said, there seems to be this curiosity. I'm not sure that's the right word. Something maybe missing in this thing. So and maybe even that the parent has died, the birth parent has already died, and it's only the siblings that are left. You know, because they wouldn't even know they are siblings until maybe they are told about it somehow. So, what's the point or question about it? So, when these situations happen, Gregory, um, I'm trying to think. I mean, their life has been good, these adopted children. So, it is a blessing, you can say. And had they been with their birth mother most of the time, because the father seems to have disappeared or whatever reason is not on the scene, it could have been a tough life for them. So, Gregory, when these sort of things happen, decisions are made or pressures are there, and this sort of things happen, could one say that, because there's sadness in it as well, to abandon a child through the situation the parent is in or the mother is in, and the birth mother is in. So would there be a blessing there, Gregory? I mean, the blessing seems to be for the child, but the mother, it seems quite a very hard and harsh experience. Is there any blessing there for the mother who has to abandon their child? Not so voluntarily. They're under pressure, it seems, for whatever reason. Um, so, it's hard for them to do that. Um, is there a blessing somehow there for that birth mother as well? There.
Many a thing which is of benefit sometimes may be pleasant, other times may be unpleasant, but it is of benefit. And we only need to consider that which is of benefit to the human personality, that benefit which helps to ennoble the spirit. The ennoblement of the spirit, it could be through completing its cycles, which cycle reciprocal activity has started in some earth life backwards, or enabling the human personality to gain experience, which experience becomes useful for it in making progress that is of benefit to itself and also to the neighborhood, progress that is of benefit in accordance with the laws of nature, which are manifestations of the divine will. Like has been stressed, some of these could be pleasant, some could be unpleasant. But in the final analysis, it is of benefit to the human personality because some could be where it needed to experience that as a reciprocal activity to know what it is like, such that it might avoid such. There are other cases where it wished by itself to experience it, such that now knowing what it is able to be of assistance to many that comes across its path. Moses was adopted. That tells a lot. There are many other persons which have been adopted. That which those parents, which we call our so-called birth parents, only enable us to incarnate here on earth. But we do not remain in the same home of our birth for the rest of our lives. We spend some time at home growing up. There comes a time where we have to sally forth, just like a fruit that has matured enough and needs to fall away from the tree and through the winds is driven to other places where it will pitch its roots and grow there and adapt to the environment and become strong. So also you have parents who are born, you have children who are born to certain parents in a particular place, but they have to move further to experience. That is all natural. There are some who, when they move to another country, they settle there to gather experience, to become useful to that country, to become useful to humanity. That is also in accordance with the will of the Almighty. So one should not think because one has been adopted, right, and certain experiences that it has had. It could be pleasant, it could be unpleasant. There are some experiences that have occurred through parents, through the natural parents, which are so very bitter, and many are disappointed. There are also some experiences which are very joyful from birth parents. There are also experiences which are very beneficial from parents which are not your birth parents. So there's all sort of variation. Above all, it is the inner attitude that counts of the parents or lack of parents or of the child. It is the inner attitude of what it has been able to benefit, not only in deeds which are perceivable using our five senses, but also in thoughts and above all in spirit. It is that which is of benefit to it that is able to take along. Only when it has concluded its earth life and has departed, only then is it permitted to look back, to recall the rich experiences it has gathered. Only then will gratitude spring from within it on the path that it has been guided to follow.
Thanks very much, Gregory. And your example of Moses being adopted is really good because, you know, and Moses was, going to bring the message of God to his people. And so his journey began in a very, I could say, unusual way. And yet he's still fulfilled, So, and it was a blessing. And his mother even knew that actually, what happened to him. So that was, but she was, of course, how can I say? I think everybody wants this, wanting to know what's happening and so on and so on. And when these things fall into place and make sense, then that is when you can have peace. And I can see if people could have this picture that, in the end, everything is for the good, because you're saying life is full of blessings, hidden blessings. So when unusual things happen, we can't just assume automatically, oh, some bad things going on here. There's a blessing, hidden blessing there. You just don't know it. And you have to allow yourself to open yourself to know the reasons why something might happen. It might be you discover it much later on, and it all turns out well. So we should have this trust and confidence that we are in good hands, and then we can be at peace with ourselves. Dear listeners, we've come to the end of the show tonight on the topic of life is full of hidden blessings. I hope you've enjoyed the discussion. And I'd like to end the show by reading from the Grail Message the foreword, which is titled, For Your Guidance. The bandage falls, and belief becomes conviction. Liberation and redemption lie only in conviction. I'm addressing earnest seekers only. They must be able and willing to examine this matter objectively. Religious fanatics and irresponsible enthusiasts may hold aloof, for they are detrimental to the truth. As for the malevolent and prejudiced, they shall find their sentence in the very words. The message will strike only those who still carry within them a spark of truth and the yearning to be true human beings. It will lead them, to all such it will become the shining light and staff. It will lead them unswervingly out of all the chaos of the present-day confusion. The following word does not bring a new religion, but is intended as the torch to help all serious listeners or readers find the right path, which leads them to the longed-for height. Only he who bestirs himself can advance spiritually. The fool who uses extraneous aids for this, in the form of ready-made opinions of others, only walks his path as if on crutches, while ignoring his own healthy limbs. But the moment he boldly uses all the abilities which lie dormant within him, awaiting his call to help in his ascent, he is employing the talent entrusted to him in accordance with his Creator's will, and will easily overcome all the obstacles that seek to divert him. Therefore awake. Genuine faith lies only in conviction, and conviction comes solely through an inflexible weighing and examining. See that you are truly alive in the wonderful creation of your God. Aprushin. Dear listeners, if you wish to get more information on the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that www.grail, Grail message, message.com. Gregory, is there anything you'd like to say to the listeners to say goodbye?
Wishing listeners a beautiful week ahead.
Thank you. Same from me, listeners. Beautiful. I wish you a beautiful week ahead. We'll be back as usual next Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. with another new topic. Take care. Good night.